What's up, my fellow actors? Kurt Yu here from actingcareercenter.com. A lot of people have been asking about acting resumes. So in this video, I'm going to show you what my acting resume looks like, and then I'm going to open up a blank document and you can follow along as I create an example acting resume step by step and section by section so you know exactly what to put on it. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel to get more videos on acting, auditioning, and career advice every single week. Okay, let's learn how to create an acting resume. All right, here we're looking at my current resume. You can see the standard 3-column format. Now, I'm going to show you how to make a resume like this regardless of your experience level, and we're going to start step by step and build it piece by piece. We're starting with a blank resume. The first thing that you have is your name in big bold letters right at the top. It could be left justified, it could be centered, it could be right justified. I'll leave that up to you. I like having it on the left. Underneath your name should be your union status. So in the United States, you're either a SAG-AFTRA member, in which case you would write SAG-AFTRA right down here, or you are non-union, in which case you would write non-union right here. So remember, this is a film and television resume, so if you are an equity member for theater, that doesn't really apply here. So you are either a SAG-AFTRA member or you are non-union, and that goes right underneath your name. Underneath that should be your statistics. So I have my height, and then my hair color, and then my eye color. Hair color and eye color are pretty standard on a resume. There is some debate over whether or not to put your height. I think it's fine because in the vast majority of auditions, the casting director asks you to slate your height anyway, so I don't think it's really that big of a deal to put your height on your resume. Some people like to leave it off, but I'll leave that up to you as well. Underneath your statistics, you have to have your contact information. Now, if you have an agent, you would put your agent's contact information. If you don't have an agent, you would just put your own. So here we're assuming you don't have an agent, so you would put your own phone number. And then an email address. Your name at gmail.com, whatever it is. Some people don't like to give out their phone number, in which case you can just have your email address, but you really need at least one or the other because they have to have some way of getting in touch with you. If someone looks at your resume and wants to get you an audition or wants to book you for a project, they need to be able to get in touch with you in some way, shape, or form. If you have a website, you could put that here as well. So www.yourname.com, whatever your website is, okay? So this is the standard top section of a resume. It needs to have your name, it needs to have your union status, it needs to have your stats, and some way of contacting you. All this information needs to be at the top of your resume. Remember, if you have an agent, then it has to be your agent's contact information, not your contact information. You don't need both, you need one or the other. Okay, now let's get into the actual credits section of your resume. The first credits section should be television credits. Now, if you don't have TV credits right now, that's totally fine. Everybody starts with 0 credits, right? But I want to make sure that you know how to add a television credit to your resume when you do. I have full faith that you will at some point book a television show, and now I'm going to teach you how to add that credit to your resume. Now, I'm going to put this title in bold. I want to put all the title sections in bold. Underneath this, we're going to do this 3-column formatting now. The first column is the name of the show. So let's say you book a role on Stranger Things. You would put the name of the show, and then on the second column, I'm going to hit the tab key on my computer to move over to a middle column. So I'm going to hit it like 3 times, and then here we would put our billing. Oops. So for television shows, your billing is either co-star, guest star, recurring character, or series regular. I'm not going to get into exactly what all of those means in this video because that would make this video way too long. Just understand that co-star is a smaller character, guest star is a bigger character, Recurring means you're in multiple episodes. Series regular is one of the lead characters of the show. How do you know what to put on your resume? Well, that is dictated by the contract. So when you book a role on a television show, your contract will say if you are a co-star, a guest star, a recurring character, or a series regular, okay? So right now, let's assume that you booked a role on Stranger Things and you were a co-star. That's why we would write co-star here in the billing section. And then we're gonna move over 3 more tabs, and the third and final column here is going to be the network name or the streaming service name, in which case this will be Netflix. And then I will also put the director. So let's assume this was directed by the Duffer Brothers, who are the creators of Stranger Things. So that is one line of a resume for the television section. We're going to put one more line down here just so you can see how this works. The Walking Dead, for instance. And let's say for The Walking Dead, you booked a guest star. And then The Walking Dead is on AMC. And let's say the director was Greg Nicotero. Okay, so those are 2 lines on a resume for a television section. I'm going to add a couple more lines right here by just copying and pasting so it doesn't take as long. But now you can see what the billing is for co-star, guest star, recurring, or series regular. One thing that you'll notice is that for the recurring and series regular lines, we don't list the directors, and that's because for most television shows, the director changes episode by episode. So if you are on multiple episodes, you wouldn't have room here to write 15 different directors on this line, right? So when you are a recurring character or a series regular, you tend to leave that blank and just have the name of the network or streaming service. Moving on, after television would be film. So again, we're going to bold this. So here, the formatting is exactly the same. We're using the 3 columns. So assume we were in Star Wars. Now for the second column of the film section, we don't use the same co-star, guest star, recurring stuff that we do for television because that doesn't make sense for a movie. So here we would write either lead, supporting, or principal. I'll go into that in a second here. Let's just finish off these 3 columns. The final column for the film section is the name of the director. So spelled his name wrong. So George Lucas, the name of the director for Star Wars. Now I'm going to add a few more columns here by just copying and pasting to save some time, and then I'll explain what these sections are. So here the first column is pretty self-explanatory. It's the name of the film. Here, like I said, lead, supporting, or principal. So let's just use Star Wars as an example. The lead character, if you played Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, you would write lead on your resume. If you played a character like Yoda, who is not the lead character, but is a pretty important character in the movie, he is a big supporting character, you would write supporting. And for principal, principal is just any other principal performer who isn't a lead or a supporting character. Continuing with the Star Wars example, one of the stormtroopers who has one line and then gets shot and killed, he would just be a principal performer in the movie. And then finally, the last column is the name of the director. So as we see our 4 credits here, we have Star Wars, lead, George Lucas, Black Panther, supporting, Ryan Coogler, lore, principal, Kate Shortland. And then this final line in the film section, I want to show you how you can add a short film. If you were in a short film, you would also put it in the film section. You would just put short in parentheses. This is the way they do it on IMDb, so I just copied that. So assume you were in a short film called Tiny Dinosaurs. You would put it on your resume like this if you were the lead character, and then the name of the director is Ellie Sattler. Hey, if you're getting value out of this video, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And by the way, this example resume that we're creating right now, I'm going to put a link to it down in the description of this video so you can copy and paste it and create your own acting resume off of this template. And if you have any questions, remember to ask them down in the comments below. All right, let's get back to it. Now, one important thing to understand for an acting resume is that background work does not go on an acting resume. If you were background in a movie or you were an extra on a television show, you do not put this on an acting resume. So I do not want to see any resumes that say, for instance, Game of Thrones, background, HBO, okay? I know a lot of people are desperate to show experience on their resume to look more like a professional, but it's actually going to have the opposite effect. If you put background work on your acting resume, it makes you look unprofessional because it looks like you don't know what you're doing. Professional actors understand that background work does not go on an acting resume. All right, moving on to the next section is web series. These are the types of credits that most people will start off with. These are the things that you shoot with your friends. These are the things that you shoot with people in acting class. You write your own projects. You produce your own projects. You film them and then you edit them and then you put them up on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever. But these are just like independent shows that don't go to a major network. So let's assume you created a web series called The White House. And then we would use the same type of billing that you use in a television show. So I'm going to put guest star. And then we would put the director. So let's say the director's name was Donna Moss. So if you were in a web series that you created with your friends that you put up on YouTube, you can put this on your resume. This is the right way to add credits to your resume and not use background work. Now the next section is theater. A lot of people will start out in theater before they move into film and TV, so this is something that you can put on your resume. Even though it is a film and TV resume, having theater credits does add some credibility. So let's say you were in a couple shows. I'm going to copy and paste again so it doesn't take as long to type. So let's say you were in a couple shows. Romeo and Juliet, you played Juliet. Little Women, you played Amy. The 3 columns here are, again, the name of the play. Here you would write your character. This is the only time in an acting resume where you actually write your character. Look at the television, film, and web series credits. You actually write your billing, co-star, guest star, recurring series, regular, lead, supporting, principal, lead, guest star, right? In theater is the only time where you actually write the name of the character. The 3rd column in the theater section is the place where the production was put up. So if you did the show in school, you would write the name of your school. In this case, I put the University of Arizona. If you did it in a local theater, you would write, for instance, Big House Theater or whatever the name of the theater was that you actually did the play. Now, one thing that I want to mention with theater is that a lot of people have done plays since they were very young. They've done plays since they were in elementary school, through middle school, through high school, through college, and beyond. And in those cases, they may have 30, 40, or more credits. There can be a desire to put all of those credits onto your acting resume and shrink the font so it all fits onto one page. I want you to not do that because that also makes you look unprofessional. I get the feeling of wanting to show off that you've done so much work, but it doesn't look that great when you try to squeeze everything onto one page of a resume. It actually looks so desperate. So what I would say is cut it down to your best 5 or 8 roles and put those under that section, and maybe just next to it write partial list. If you look over at my resume, I've done more TV shows than what's listed here. I've done more movies than what's listed here, but I don't squeeze them all onto my resume just to make it look cooler. I limit it to less than 10 on each section, and then I write partial list right next to it just so people understand that there are more credits. I just don't list everything, okay? So that's the same thing that you should do for the theater section of your resume in case you have many, many credits. Moving on, the next section is commercials. Can't spell commercials. All right, so the most important thing to know here is that industry standard is to only write conflicts available upon request. And that's it. This is the only thing that you write in the commercial section of a resume. The rule of thumb is to not list your actual commercial credits on your acting resume. The reason being, if you go into a commercial audition, let's say it's for Burger King, and then you hand them your resume and you did a McDonald's commercial a few years ago, and that's on your resume. The person that works at Burger King may look at that and decide that they don't want to hire you simply because you have done a commercial for a competing product, even if that commercial isn't on the air anymore. So this is why you typically just write conflicts available upon request on this section. Now, one thing that you can do is, let's say you have 10 or 15 commercials. Instead of writing that, you could write something like 10 plus credits or something. If you look over at my resume, I write regional and local 40 plus credits, all principal. So you could write something like that if you have commercial credits. Now, one thing that you might do is that if you are submitting your acting resume just to get an agent and you have some commercial credits, maybe at that point is a time when you do list your credits on your resume just so they can see what you've done. But when you go to an actual audition for a commercial, you wouldn't put those on there. Does that make sense? Okay, moving on. The next section is training. This is the single most important section of your resume when you are starting out. I've asked my agent this on what she looks for when someone submits to her agency, and she says that if they don't already have film and television credits, then the first thing that she looks at is training to make sure that they are trying to improve themselves as actors and that they are trying to stay on top of their craft and that they are really serious about making it in this industry. So I've said it in so many other videos and I'm going to say it again. Acting classes are so vital to your career. So make sure that you have training that you can put on your resume. I'm going to copy and paste again so it doesn't take as much time to type. All right, so the way that you would put training, you would use, again, the same 3-column format. Here, if you have a theater degree from college, you would put, for instance, BFA in musical theater. You put the name of, or the year that you got it, and then the name of the school where you got your degree. If you took classes in an acting studio, you would put the name of the class, let's say the Meisner Technique, the name of the teacher, Sanford Meisner, and the name of the school, the Neighborhood Playhouse. Or if, let's say, it was an on-camera class, you would write that, name of the teacher, Meryl Streep, and the Yale School of Drama. I'm pretty sure Meryl Streep doesn't actually teach an on-camera class, so don't go looking for it. Okay, moving on to the last section, which is called special skills. Not just skill, skills. There we go. This is something that some productions will look for in case they need a character to be able to perform a certain thing on set. For example, let's say that a character is a college basketball player. Well, they're going to need that actor to at least look competent in basketball and look believable in a college basketball game. So this is where you would put those types of skills, whether you're skilled in some sort of sports or other things. One of the most important ones is languages. So if you were, let's say, fluent in Spanish, you would write that here. And then other skills that you may list, I'm going to copy and paste. You might have swing dance experience or horseback riding, or you can drive manual transmission, or you play roller hockey or soccer, baseball, football, all these things. Okay, so these are all the things that you can add to your skill section of a resume. And that is pretty much it, guys. Look at this resume that we've just built. You don't have to have all of these sections when you just start out. When you're just starting out, you probably won't have any television or film credits, right? So we're just going to delete that right now. You might have some web series and theater. You'll have some training, and then you will have your special skills. If your resume looks like this and it's not completely filled in like mine is, that's totally okay because we all start from somewhere. My resume looked like this when I first started, right? So this is totally fine. I'm going to make this example resume available on Google Drive. I'll put the link down in the description of this video so that you can copy and paste it and create your own personal resume by following this exact format. All right, that was a step-by-step tutorial on how to create an acting resume for film and television. By the way, if you looked at my acting resume and you saw all those movies and television shows and you're wondering how I audition for those, well, I've actually created a free audition cheat sheet that you can download by going to that link right there. Okay, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And remember to ask your questions down in the comments below. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and I can't wait to see you on set one day.